I think so. Oh, perfect. Ooh. Okay. Oh, so you don't have to edit it. Awesome. Sounds good. So we'll get started in just 1 minute. Hello. Beautiful. So we'll get started right on time. Welcome. Thank you for coming. So my name is Joanna Gorczyca. I'm the dietitian here at the Covington, and we're going to talk about kidney disease and the diet therapy. So we'll get started. So some of the objectives. So we want to kind of generally talk about CKD, which is chronic kidney disease. And then we also will talk about some of the kidney disease risk factors that we can prevent, or we can try to reverse or try to control with diet, and as well diet therapy for chronic kidney disease, because diet does matter. So we'll take a closer look at that. So these are our kidneys, and our kidneys do a lot of great things for us. They regulate our blood. They help with red blood cell production. They remove a lot of metabolic wastes from our body. They control the acid-base balance, which is really, really important. And they also activate vitamin D that helps calcium absorption. So there's, they have a big job in our body. So it's definitely a good thing to do to take good care of your kidneys. So our chronic kidney disease. So it's a condition categorized by gradual loss of kidney function over time, and there is a few risk factors. One of the factors is diabetes. Then there's hypertension, so high blood pressure, family history of kidney failure, so that could just run in the family, and some genetic components. Any type of cardiovascular disease can be a risk factor for kidney disease. And then also a reoccurrence of urinary tract infection, that could be a risk as well. So we want to control those risk factors the best we can in order to prevent the further development of any type of kidney disease. So here's a graph of all the different stages. There is 5 stages of kidney disease, and stage 1, there's Sure. We'll leave it longer. So this has a lot of information, so we'll go through just a few of those. So stage 1 is just a normal kidney function. The percentiles are the GFR, so the glomerular filtration rate, so how good your kidneys are working. Usually you're stage 1, so you're basically healthy, your kidneys are functioning, there's no symptoms. There could be possible other risk factors such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and obesity, just because that gives you more pressure on your body and more pressure on the cardiovascular system to work. So that could be as well as another risk factor. For stage 2, so that's 60 to 89% of your kidney function. And usually there's no symptoms. There is sometimes protein in your urine that your doctor can find. And then stage 3, that's where we're kind of getting to more of a dietitian getting involved, because that's when you have 30 to 59% of your kidney functioning. So we see few symptoms like swelling, some edema in your body. You can be more fatigued. There could be some back pain. That's where the kidneys are. There could be more protein in your urine. And then your doctor can put you on different restrictions such as sodium or phosphorus to help your kidneys prolong its function. So stage 4, that's when it's getting a little bit more where a dietitian, there is a renal dietitian that's all their expertise is to help people who are in stage 4 and stage 5 kidney disease. So they're really working on your diet. That's when stage 4 is also when you might be starting dialysis as well. There could be lots of symptoms such as loss of appetite, difficulty concentrating. You can get neuropathy, pain, tingling in your feet and toes and fingers, sleeping problems. So we really want to tackle that before it gets to that point. There could also be more food restriction, such as potassium. So not only is your sodium and phosphorus restricted, but now we're looking at potassium levels as well. And then stage 5 kidney failure, that's it's all the symptoms previously mentioned, plus also there could be even more fatigue or weakness. You could be easily bruising or bleeding. There could be symptoms of anemia, so blood loss or not enough red blood cells, because how we saw in the previous slides, your kidneys really control, help with the red blood cell production. So that's when you can stop producing as much red blood cells and get anemia. So you might be making very little or no urine. So and kidney dialysis can really help your kidney function. So, and then you could be on a list for kidney transplant at that point. So here's the purpose of diet therapy for chronic kidney disease. Really, the purpose is to maintain good nutrition status, to slow the progression of the disease, and to treat any type of complication. Ooh. So some of the key components to slowing the progression of chronic kidney disease, it's really to get that high blood pressure down and to control that. You can do that with some medication that your doctor prescribes, and you can also do that with the help of nutrition. We'll go over. And the biggest culprit is sodium, so we'll take a look at that as well. The second key component of slowing down progression of chronic kidney disease would be to get enough protein, but do not overdo it. So remember in the symptoms, one of the earliest symptoms is actually seeing protein in your urine. So your kidneys have a hard time with digesting too much protein. And as a whole country, we're actually consuming too much protein. Protein is important, but it has to be controlled. Um, and then also, if there is any diabetes, blood sugar issues, controlling that will really help your kidneys out. So controlling your blood pressure. So definitely the goal is 130 to 80 your blood pressure. So checking that blood pressure throughout the day is really important. That can be controlled via low sodium diet. So 1 teaspoon of salt is 2,300 milligrams of sodium. That's already too much for a whole day. So the American Heart Association does recommend limiting salt and sodium to 1,500 milligrams per day or less. And that's pretty hard to do, knowing that 1 teaspoon is already too much.
And people have commented, Joe is here, maybe he left, but they put a lot of salt in some of the food.
So we can get to that in a little bit, but it's really one way to control that is to really focus on fresh fruits and vegetables. So filling up your plate in all the fruits and veggies, green leafy vegetables, also any type of fresh fruit is great as well. Increasing your whole grains and legumes, so things like beans and lentils and peas can help as well. And then instead of adding salt to your food or salting your food at the table, you can use different herbs and spices. Salt substitutes are not the best because they have phosphorus added to that. So try to avoid salt substitutes. Go with actual herbs and spices.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's one substitute that has no sodium in it. It's no salt.
Do you know what the name is?
No salt is the name of it.
Oh, so there is a salt substitute that's called no salt, and it has no phosphorus in it or
No sodium.
no sodium in it. Yes. And I'll have a slide on how to read the ingredient labels in order to make sure that 1, there's no sodium, but 2, there's no phosphorus in there. So that's important. You can take a look and see if it has any phosphorus. But if you just use kind of herbs and spices, you know that those are going to be okay. So overall, animal products have the most sodium. Some because they just occur naturally, and some because that's how they're processed, or by adding salt, or to just because how you make it as well. We add extra salt to things. So things like dairy, eggs, and animal protein sources, and we kind of will go through that on how to limit that. 1, because of the protein content in animal products is higher, and 2, because the sodium content is higher as well. So it's kind of a win-win situation if you control your protein intake. And then there is amazing research coming out from hibiscus tea. It's actually been shown to lower your blood pressure better than the leading blood pressure medication. So just a cup a day actually helps lower your blood pressure. So if you are starting to drink hibiscus tea, make sure to let your doctor know so they can adjust your medication accordingly, because we don't want you to be taking medication, blood pressure medication, and then drinking hibiscus tea, and then your blood pressure will go too low. So it's that powerful. So it's not, I guess, it's the best tasting tea. It's more of a bitter tasting tea, but they do sell a hibiscus tea together with other tea leaves mixed in to make it more palatable for you. But that's just incredible to have something like that to our disposal that can lower your blood pressure without any kind of other symptoms or any other
I missed what the beverage
hibiscus tea. So hibiscus tea is now researched and known to lower your blood pressure naturally without any side effects. So it's wonderful. And then so reducing protein intake if excessive. So we definitely need protein. Protein is important for our muscles and our bones and our energy levels. So we really definitely need protein. But limiting dietary protein may reduce hyperlipidemia, so too much fat in your blood. It will limit or it will decrease your blood pressure. It will help your renal bone disease. So again, remember when kidneys actually help with vitamin D and calcium absorption for your bones. So when your kidneys are not working properly, there is a high chance of developing renal bone disease where your bones are weakened, more likely to break. So we definitely want to make sure that we're keeping our bones healthy and strong. And also limiting dietary protein will help with metabolic acidosis. So protein foods are naturally acidic. So we want to make sure that we're controlling that, because when your kidneys are already not functioning properly, again, the acid-base balance is thrown off. So we don't want to consume as much acid or acidic foods. Also, there has been studies that limiting dietary protein may improve blood glucose control. So those who have diabetes and kidney disease, it's actually better to restrict your protein even more. So the kind of standard formula is, when I look at a resident or patient, is to do 0.8 grams of protein per your kilogram of body weight. So I do have an example. If you are 150 pounds, that's 68 kilograms. So you want to consume between 54 and 68 grams of protein per day. So that's just, keep that in mind, and I have, the next slide will have references. So here's some plant proteins. So again, it's 54 to 68 grams. So let's just cut it down in the middle and say about 60 grams of protein. And here's all the different plant proteins. So things like edamame has 13 grams of protein in 1/2 cup of edamame. Yes.
One of the problems with edamame is the phytoestrogens. Not recommended, in my opinion, for male.
So
Not a problem, but for men, probably not a good idea.
So it's a controversial topic of edamame. It has phytoestrogens. So that's a whole different topic, because it's pretty controversial. If you're interested in it, I have lots of articles for pro and cons on each. But if there's any type of concern, just skip that. There's lots of other options, like quinoa has 4 grams protein in 1/2 cup cooked. Beans are amazing. They're just the best packaged little food there could be. They have 8 grams of protein in 1/2 cup grams. It's also have yummy carbohydrates and fiber and phytonutrients, and has lots of great nutrients. And that we can do peas, 4 grams of protein in 1/2 cup, almond butter or peanut butter, or things like almonds are great. So 1/2 cup is 15 grams of protein. Things that you can just sprinkle on your food that won't even give you a lot of volume of food. Things like chia seeds have 3 tablespoons of chia seeds is 6 to 9 grams of protein. So barely any food. It doesn't really taste like anything. You just sprinkle that. Or flax seeds, 3 tablespoons have 6 to 8 grams of protein, which is great. And we actually will talk about flax seeds a little more later because there's amazing research on flax seeds, and I always recommend for everyone to include flaxseed in their diet. I have a bag in my drawer in my office, and anytime I'm about to eat, I just sprinkle some on my food because it just has amazing benefits. And then here's some foods that are higher in protein. So things like lean chicken breast, 6 ounce. So 3 ounces would be the size of your palm or like a deck of cards. So 3 ounces is usually the serving size, but I know sometimes we serve a little more than that. So 6 ounces of chicken breast is 54.5 grams. So that's already more than you should be eating in a whole day in one chicken breast that you have. So keep that in mind. Also, things like lean pork chops, 6 ounces would be 52.7 grams. So again, that's also getting you to that protein for the whole day. Things like tuna or beef, again, they're in the almost 50 grams range of protein per 6 ounce. So you definitely want to look at that. The low-fat yogurt, 14 grams of protein. So that's a pretty good amount. If you're running low on your protein throughout the day, you can grab some low-fat yogurt. But it does have phosphorus. Any dairy product has phosphorus. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So 1 large egg has almost 7 grams of protein. So yeah, keep in mind that animal products are really high in protein, and you can see how fast you can overdo on protein. If you have an egg in the morning, then have some chicken for lunch, and then have some beef for dinner, you're already overdoing it, and your kidneys are working extra. So here's a little example of the plant proteins and how you can get around 60 grams of protein per day by just having maybe some oatmeal, 1/2 cup of oatmeal with some almonds for breakfast. Then maybe you can have some, or maybe add some almond butter in there, and then have some peas and chickpeas for lunch, and then have maybe like a baked potato with some edamame or another like black beans or something like that. So all those in one day, all the red circle ones will give you the exact amount of protein that you need for the whole day versus 1 chicken breast. So you have to really keep an eye out on the protein because if you're not going to eat just a chicken breast, you probably are going to eat the baked potato with it and some beans or some green leafy vegetables, and that will add even extra protein on top of that. So sunflower seeds, just like any seeds and nuts. Not as good, but they still have some protein. Yes. And they have some amazing fats, good for your brain and your heart. So sunflower seeds are a great choice, yes. And you can sprinkle that on a salad as well. So yes, no, nothing really compares to flax seeds and chia seeds in the family of nuts and seeds. They're kind of the highest standard, the best out there. So now another part is to make sure you're managing diabetes, and you want your A1C level to definitely be lower than 7%. So that's your blood sugar over 3-month period. And you can do that by having a low protein diet. So again, managing that protein, that animal protein intake, which can improve insulin sensitivity, lower insulin requirements, and lower your blood glucose levels. So it's incredible that you can just use protein to help with that. And then again, flax seeds are actually researched heavily on its insulin sensitivity. It's shown to really drop down the need for as much insulin in people with diabetes. It really shows, even if you're eating a really high carbohydrate diet, sprinkling some flax seeds on it, it's actually seen to lower your blood glucose levels. So even if you're having, like an ice cream and another high sugary snack, just adding some flax seeds on it, not that it would be really good on ice cream, but it actually shown to lower your blood sugar. So it's pretty incredible. And the scientists believe to flax seeds lowering the blood glucose level because of the high antioxidant levels. So again, we kind of touched on that last time, how plant foods, any fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, they're all plant foods, and they have lots of antioxidants, and we need antioxidants throughout the day. Whereas animal food, any dairy, meats, poultry, eggs, they don't have any antioxidants. So now eating actually produces a inflammatory state, because that's just how we are. We're digesting. There's a lot of things going on, so your body is in an inflammation state. And if you're eating fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes, you're adding antioxidants and you're evening out the inflammation state with the antioxidants. Now, if you don't eat enough antioxidants and you eat more animal foods, that it's not going to even out, and you're going to be in an inflammation state for a really long time until the next meal. And the next meal, if you're not going to take in enough antioxidants, now you're still in an inflammation state. So you're just adding and adding and adding, and your body is paying for it later on. So it's really important to take lots of anti-inflammatory foods, which are the plant foods. And you can do that by I call it crowding out. I'm pretty sure I got that from someone else, some other dietitian or doctor out there. But basically, you start with the best thing for you first. You start with the salad or the soup that's filled with lots of veggies. You start with, the potato, the beans, the legumes, the fruit. You start with that, and then you add the other things, like the meat should be more of like a condiment than anything, than like the star of your plate. The star of your plate should be the fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains. So that's kind of the best strategy I've seen out there, is to crowd out the bad food with the good, because then you're eating the good, you're getting the antioxidants, and then you're not as hungry for anything else. So keeping the volume the same, basically, but changing up the order of your food. And then sprinkling some flax seeds on it, just a cherry on top. So some other nutrients to monitor. So this would be in more of stages 4 and 5 of kidney disease, and your doctor would definitely let you know if that's something that you need to be monitoring. So phosphorus, it's a mineral that helps our bones stay healthy, your blood vessels and muscles working, so it's definitely really important. It's naturally found in foods rich in proteins such as meat, poultry, fish, nuts, beans, and dairy products. So those would be the highest in phosphorus. And if you have kidney disease, it can make phosphorus build up in your blood, making your bones weak and more likely to break. And that can kind of go hand in hand with your feeling of weakness and fatigue in the later stages of kidney disease. So another part why we want you to maintain or decrease your protein intake is because phosphorus is high in animal products. It's high in dairy. So there is a rule of thumb to kind of have one serving of dairy per day. If it's milk, if it's ice cream, if it's cheese, you don't want to overdo it with dairy products. Now, phosphorus is in nuts and beans, but again, if you lower your animal protein, which will in turn lower your protein, lower your phosphorus, then eating nuts and beans should be fine. And they're just lower in protein as naturally. So your potassium is important as well. So mineral that helps your nerves and muscles work the right way. And chronic kidney disease can inhibit kidneys from removing extra potassium from the blood. So you can have high potassium levels, and there isn't any specific symptoms, physical symptoms, so your doctor would have to check for your potassium in your routine blood tests. And then also some medicines can raise your potassium levels, so there are some diuretics like aldactone, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's a potassium-sparing diuretic, so that will keep your potassium in your blood. So if you are on some type of diuretic and you have chronic kidney disease, there are diuretics there that can actually help get rid of the potassium as well. So that can be something that your doctor can talk to you about. And then also things like ibuprofen and some other like Motrin and other medication like that could also keep your potassium in. So again, just read those pamphlets when you're picking up your medications to know which ones are potassium sparing and which ones you kind of need to monitor it if you have issues with your potassium level. And foods that are high in potassium, I think we'll go one by one, because a lot of fruits and vegetables are high in potassium, which I'm really sad about. That if you get to that stage, you might have to change up the fruits and vegetables, so it just gets a lot more restrictive. So phosphorus, so again, eat smaller portions of foods high in protein at meals and snacks. So again, smaller portions of animal products, eating lots of fresh fruits and vegetables if you have not been told about your potassium level. And there's different techniques of getting in lots of antioxidants and kind of having lower potassium levels. Soft drinks, yes. Yes, so yes, so colas, any type of dark sodas will be high in phosphorus levels. Yes, true. So here again, any kind of packaged food can have phosphorus added to it. So you have to look out for words with phos in the ingredient level. So and then things like chicken nuggets, baked goods, cereals, pudding, and sauces could just have that extra phosphorus added to that. So here it doesn't even says phosphorus, but it does have the pyrophosphatate, and it has that phos in there, so it does have phosphorus on the label.
Why would the foods have phosphorus added?
So the question is, why would foods have phosphorus added? It's just a way of preserving the foods. Yes. So it's not the best, but yes, if you do have your salt substitute, take a look and see if you can find any ingredient with the phos in there. And a lot of the a lot of, like Mrs. Dash has phosphorus in it, so I do not recommend anyone with chronic kidney disease to be taking it or using Mrs. Dash. So you definitely have to be careful. You think you're doing the right thing by not getting any, a salt substitute and not getting any sodium in there, but it has phosphorus. And then potassium. So again, potassium chloride is another kind of ingredient that food companies add in order to preserve your food. And it's added in some items instead of salt because it tastes similar. So they're trying to trick you and make your food really tasty. But then again, there's added potassium. So make sure to check your ingredient list. Again, the apple, grape, and cranberry juice are lower in potassium levels. So if you do have diabetes, keep that on hand. If you have low blood sugars and you just need a little juice, orange juice, oranges have higher potassium levels. So, and we'll go through some of the fruits and vegetables as well. So I keep talking about whole grains because they're a lot better. They have fiber, they have more protein, they have more phytonutrients, more antioxidants. So whole grains are a lot better. Now, if you have chronic kidney disease that is stage 4 or 5, you might have to restrict your potassium, which means you have to go from the whole grains to white. So white bread, white rice, white pasta, which is not ideal, but you have to preserve your kidneys. So that's more important than, getting good nutrition. So it's all basically individualized where you are. So you still need, white rice is still great. It still gives you nutrition. It's just not as ideal as brown rice and whole grain. And then again, cow's milk is really restricted to 4 ounces, or like one slice of cheese, or some yogurt, or some ice cream as well. So it's more recommended to do the milk alternatives like rice milk, almond milk, but that would be higher in phosphorus, so you have to be careful at that as well. And there's things like hemp milk, and some cashew milk as well. But that's all kind of individualized. When you get to that state, you have to kind of look at dairy. So here's some fruits and vegetables. The top chart is about the fruits and vegetables lower in potassium. So those are a green light. Those are a go. And then the bottom chart is things that you should avoid or eat less of, because those are higher in potassium. So higher in potassium, bananas. I think they're all known for potassium. Cantaloupe, dates, kiwi, prunes and prune juice, oranges and orange juice, and raisins, and as well as squashes, avocados, baked beans, beets. So there's potatoes. So when I used to work at the hospital, we kind of called it like bread and water diet, a renal diet that the doctor would prescribe, because it's really just white rice and white bread, and there's not much that it's kind of, everything's kind of like just white. We have, advanced more now, but a lot of these delicious items like spinach and avocados and squashes, the colorful stuff, is high in potassium and might not be okay. And then so things that are lower in potassium, did I mention tomatoes? Yeah, tomato juice, and tomato sauce. So that's, I think potatoes, tomatoes, and oranges are kind of the toughest things to give up for a lot of people, because that's been a staple in people's diet for a while. But that's, if you get to that level, that's important to cut out. And in terms, go with kind of bell peppers and broccoli and cabbage and carrots and cauliflower, cucumber, corn. So there's still a lot of great fruits and vegetables. Things like watermelon and grapes and strawberries are always great alternatives. So we're getting to the end of our presentation. So it really does matter what you eat and drink when you have kidney disease. So it can definitely, diet can slow down the progression of chronic kidney disease. And there are a lot of better choices out there that if you're educated, you can make and help slow down your progression of kidney disease. The most important kind of strategies and tips from today's presentation is to definitely lower your salt intake, and that will help with just for longevity and for any other kind of illnesses and diseases. The top researcher, nutrition researcher out there said that there's two things that Americans can do to avoid diseases and dying early and things like that. One is to lower your salt intake, and two is to eat more fruit. That was it. So he compiled data for years and years, and those are the two things that he came up with. So it's pretty incredible what you can do with diets. So eat less salt, eat the right amount and the right types of protein. So lower your animal protein intake and increase your fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes that have lots of antioxidants in them and help your body be more, get rid of the inflammatory state faster. And then choose foods that are healthier for your heart. So those are the plant foods. We didn't go into your heart, but diabetes and cardiovascular disease are the biggest risk factor for developing chronic kidney disease. And so eating for your heart is really important. And that also goes back into your protein, because animal products have more saturated fats, or they have saturated fats versus the plant proteins don't. So it's really important to keep your heart healthy and keep that inflammation down and help lower your blood pressure as well. So that goes back to less salt, moderate amount of animal protein, increasing your fruits and vegetables intake. And that is it. So thank you. Any questions or any comments? Oh. How do you pronounce my name? It's a tough one. It's Gorczyca. Gorczyca. Yes, it's Polish.
Really?
Yes.
Sure.
I am sure. I was there and born there, and that's how I got interested in nutrition, is that I came to America and I was eating like tomatoes and it just didn't taste the same. I mean, going to the grocery store, you didn't even smell the food. Where in Europe, you can smell the food. I mean, it's not like pleasant because it's all different types of, fruits and vegetables, and you get a lot of different whiffs of things. Yes, fish markets and food just smells different, and you can taste differently. So here there wasn't that much flavor. I was like, what is missing? So I started really diving deep into nutrition and how things are grown here, and it's the rest is history, I guess. Yes.
I like the chart of the plant protein and also the chart right after that shows the proportions of proteins.
Mm-hmm.
Is that available?
Yes, I can make that available. So I will. I can put it in your cubby. Okay. So I can make some copies of the plant proteins and the animal proteins, the grams and the the cups and kind of the 3 ounces, 6 ounces, and I'll leave them downstairs and I'll leave some with Tracy, but I'll put those in your cubby.
And the ones that show all the better fruits and the less better fruits and the better vegetables, the less better, that would be very interesting.
Sure, sure. I can definitely, anyone who's interested, I can even give you a copy of the whole presentation. Yes. Good, good. But just, I am here available. I do work mostly with the skilled, the care center residents, but I am available if there's any specific kind of individualized questions. I am more than happy to help because not everyone is in the same position, so I don't want you to maybe miss out on the lots of fruits and vegetables because of the potassium level if you don't have to. So just throwing it out there, if you are interested, I'm here for anyone. And you can just call the front desk and they can transfer you. I did not bring any of my business cards next time. Yes.
One of the things we deal with here is that our food is prepared for us, so we can't determine the amount of salt that's in our food.
So the question is that the food here is prepared, so you're not aware of the sodium levels, that you can't control it. Chef did print out the nutritional values of most of the food, unless there's some new dishes, but most of the nutritional values are downstairs in the library, and you can go through and see how much sodium is in it. But there is going to be, we're trying to come up with a system where there's possibly like a heart for heart healthy, so lower in sodium items next to the item to make it easier. Because I know that's a kind of constant, you want to eat healthy, but you don't know if you're making the right choices. I've had many residents come to me and kind of ask me for guidance on our Cove menu and our Grandview menu. So we're trying to work something out. The items that have the most sodium are going to be the soups and the desserts. So that's just how it is, because the chicken and the beef stock are not lower in sodium, or the beef isn't, but the chicken is. So I'm trying to get a lower sodium beef stock, but also just because there's so many things added. A lot of our dishes, per popular request, have bacon in them, so those would be higher in sodium. And then desserts, that's just how they're made. So they taste sweet, but they actually have a lot of sodium in there. So again, just follow kind of more of a green leafy vegetables, fruits, veggies, brown rice, polenta, potatoes. Those would have lower sodium than kind of the chicken, the beef items. And then we have a beautiful salad bar. That's also great. And then even if you want to, like 3 ounces of chicken on top of that, that would be.
And also if they have the gravy on the side on those dishes, because a lot of it comes from the gravy, the sauces, and you can get a little cup and take as much as you need.
Exactly.
It's just flavoring and it enhanced.
Yeah, so the tip or the comment is that also the gravies and the sauces are higher in sodium as well. So take those to the side, things like salad dressings, and then don't use as much or use half of it. That will lower your sodium intake. So that's a great tip. So that's how you can kind of gain control of what you're eating. It's not 100% you're making it and you know exactly what goes in it. But Chef is great at kind of adjusting the menus, and our people in the Cove are great also with helping with any type of allergies and questions like that as well. Pistachio nuts. Yes. So pistachio nuts are great for you. I actually read a study this morning that just was it. I think it was 2 pistachio nuts have the same effect as a melatonin, so it helps you calm down and fall asleep. So I thought that was really cool because I was like, why are you taking sleep medications that could possibly have a side effect if you can just eat 2 pistachios? It's crazy. Plus, they have a high antioxidant content as well. Good fats for your heart and your brain. So some protein, some carbohydrate. Yes, yes. Just get the non-salted version.
I do wanna make another contribution because we were doing this and we stopped, but we used to do it ourselves. The flaxseed are little seeds and people don't wanna eat little seeds. You're not gonna sit there and sprinkle these little hard seeds all over your food. But if people aren't already familiar with it, you get it in the powdered form. They grind them up and it's powdered. So it's just like anything else that's a powder. You just sprinkle it on. You would not if you go to Sprouts and you get the seeds. We used to do that, but then we roasted them and ground them ourselves. Put them through a grinder. But most people aren't going to be doing that. But you buy it powdered.
Yes.
You don't just take them and eat them as a seed.
So the comments about flax seeds, and yes, thank you because I did not make it clear. It's actually better and easier for us to digest if they are grounded. So ground flax seeds. The whole seeds, they're pretty tiny, but you're not going to get as much benefit because it's harder for us to digest. So yes, ground flax seeds are better, and then you can sprinkle them, and it's kind of like a little like flour consistency.
The flaxseed is very interesting because it has a protective coating around it in addition to the husk. And if you take flaxseed and put them in water, for example, they will expand, they absorb an enormous amount of water. Well, from that point of view, it's very good because it's what's called soluble fiber. Very good soluble fiber. But it limits the nutrition content.
Yes.
In order to get the nutrition, you have to grind them.
Yes, exactly. So again, just emphasizing how the ground flax seeds are the best for absorption. And yes, they have amazing soluble fiber, which helps with your GI, getting your bowels regular, but also helps your gut microflora. That's what your good bacteria feeds in your stomach, which is just another amazing topic. Which I think I did a presentation on that, and I did a presentation on fiber, but it will be a great reminder, and I could do that again, because keeping your microbes in your stomach happy and healthy is gonna just it's gonna keep you healthy, because we have more bacteria in us than our cells in our body. So we want to make sure we keep our bacteria healthy and happy, and they feed off of the fiber. So another reason why eat lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grain. Any plant foods have fiber. No, there's no fiber in animal foods. But thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you.